Alright guys, you got your boy Jet Stinger here today, and today we're back with some more reverse 1999 content, and today we're going to be doing our teams video for Ulrich this time. So we're going to be doing his teams. Again, I promised you guys I will be giving you guys more videos consistently back to back. I'm going to go do Nautica's teams after this video, and then I'll probably just do some fun little guides I've been working on in the back. But anyway, without further ado, let's get right into it and let's talk about some teams you can run with the brand new free 6-star Ulrich. Alright, so the first team that we're going to be running is going to be our 5-star budget team. This is more so obviously meant for people who just started playing the game or don't have the most premium options just yet. So they're probably waiting to get like some of the key units that can make them work. Him running as a main DPS is absolutely feasible for budget builds. It's going to be a little bit tricky to really maintain his Dynamo field. If you guys don't know, the biggest thing about playing Ulrich is getting your Dynamo to level 3 and then ulting, because you get the 35% bonus. You're getting his ultimate might bonuses as well, which of course is a big contribution to his damage. So you ultimately want to put yourself in a situation where you can get to level 3 Dynamo. Running one only Dynamo character can be tricky, so that's kind of the thing there. But even if you can do it at level 2 while him getting a high enough stacks of his analysis keys, even without the 35%, you can still get some good mileage out of it. But let's go and talk about the partners, and let's talk about why we picked them. So first things first is going to be Name Day. Name Day is going to be here because he's going to be a support that works with ultimate. He can give you up to 65% ultimate damage at P5. At P0, I believe it's I think it's 50% ultimate damage boost, which of course, since Ulrich pretty much focuses on nothing but ultimate damage because his only attacking move comes from the ultimate. So putting him here is pretty much a good slot. If you are looking to run Name Day in any other variation of a team, like a premium, and you don't have like the other options, make sure you put him next to Ulrich, because his ultimate really works with the adjacent ally. So that means the people that's in front of him. So as you can see, grants this buff to the adjacent ally in front for 3 rounds. Since he is the adjacent ally, that is going to be how you end up getting that extra effect. The extra effect of his ult basically means his ult will not cost any AP. This is really cool because this means you can get yourself back going by either you can ult, or actually you can double cast his skills then ult, which means you can get yourself at least a little extra AP without interrupting on the turn, without having to go super heavy, which is something, you know, that's something. But mainly he's really just here for the ultimate support, which is gives him the ultimate damage. He also gets some Moxie stuff every time an ally does their ultimate, but this team doesn't really pop off ultimates like that. Technically speaking, Ulrich can get an ultimate fairly fast, but yeah. Anyway, next up is going to be our healer Yensei. I've said this time and time again every time I do a team building video, but she's pretty much one of the best 5-star healers you can get. So just if you have a 5-star healer, if you did get one, it's Yensei. Of course, you can still use Balloon Party. You can use Balloon Party. I wouldn't say DK. I don't think DK would actually even get you close to like end game material, but this team still, I mean, Yensei can still work. Yensei 100% can work. Balloon Party 100% can work. You just have to be a little bit more careful with the Balloon Party healing, because remember, she heals off lost HP instead of just being like a direct healer like Yensei is. Yensei also provides you with some shields, some extra damage taken effect, which is not bad. It actually does stack. It actually doesn't stack on top of Bicorn, so but it does stack on top of Ulrich. So Ulrich's special variation is going to be stackable with that. And of course, we chose Bicorn. We chose Bicorn because because of reality damage shredder. That's all she really needed to be, which of course, since he is primarily a reality damage unit with his ultimate, which is a 600% reality damaging attack. So yeah, that's just basically what we needed her for, just reality shred. That's all she really needed to do. I mean, you can also technically say sub DPSing material if you were to take her to Euphoria, but you don't need her Euphoria for this team at all to function. You just simply need to get her up and going, and then you just kind of go from there. Her Euphoria more so targets her as a main DPS, which would kind of conflict with the team, to be completely honest. Technically speaking, Ulrich's bonuses, while they don't really benefit these two units because they don't have attacking ults, technically would still benefit Bicorn. because Bicorn does actually have a bit of focus on damaging with her with Euphoria. So if you already had her Euphoria like I do, then that's at least some bit of a synergy there between the two of them. But for what it's worth, it's not necessary is what I'm more so getting at. It's not like you have to take her to the Euphoria for the team to function, because the whole core of what you wanted her for anyway was for the Shred. So as you can see, she does provide that. She provides that with a pretty nice up to 25% Shred and damage taken effect, which is also nice as well. And of course, I mentioned before the key performing synergy between them and their ultimates. But this is going to be like the budget team. Now, this is a bit of a trickier team to optimize. I will say that to you. I won't say that this is kind of like foolproof like some of the other teams I've recommended. It's because it's all about getting that Dynamo to level 3. And it can be tricky if you don't have a good way to accelerate Dynamo outside of Ulrich himself. Traditionally, if you really want to go a good Dynamo team, you want at least 2 at the minimum to get level 3 comfortably. But yeah, if you were to be new and you didn't have the other newer supports and you did pull Lucy, then you can drop Picorn 100% for Lucy. Put her in like slot 3, because again, you want to, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you put her slot 3 because name still needs to give her the bonuses, and then you go Lucy instead. That way, you can have an extra instance of an attacker, and you can kind of fall back on letting Ulrich be the main DPS in this time of situation. So that's something that you could do. But for what it's worth, I think that this team is ultimately fine. And yeah, let's go over to the next team. All right, so now this is time for the team that he's obviously meant for, the Dynamo team. It's his true home, his best team. But anyway, this is the team that you really want to go for with running Dynamo. Your fourth option is completely up to you. I like Monalia because she gives you 72% ultimate might, which the whole point of Dynamo now is ultimate might focus, because Lucy's attacks now benefit from ultimate might at 100% rate, which gets further increased with each stack of data iteration. Of course, Ulrich's main attack is based off his ultimate, so giving someone that's an effectively ultimate might buffer is good. Not to mention that he himself also buffs ultimate might. He can give you up to 70%, so 72% here, 70% from here. So that is still something that you also want to do. If you're running a Dynamo team and you are looking to run Ezra with the team, make sure you put him in the first slot. He is in first for a very specific reason. It's because he is running the third commitment. The third commitment is a cool little cube that synergizes with how Dynamo works. If you don't know, Dynamo is deployed based off the first party member. The effects of Dynamo don't change from party member to party member, so it's not like if you deploy with Lucy she gets additional effects or anything. It's just whoever's there first deploys the field. That's really just it. But since you're running Ezra, you're running third commitment, this technically means that you deployed a array, which means you get these extra little bonuses here. You get incantation and ultimate might bonuses for all allies, and the effects are removed when the array ends or is replaced. Since technically Dynamo never actually gets removed unless you do something willingly to replace it, like run Lepera or something, that means you're gonna have a permanent, little boost of extra damage there, which is nice. But for what it's worth, you run Ezra as your sustain. It can be tricky depending on the type of stage with Ezra, because sometimes Ezra's shields aren't enough to keep you alive. Since he doesn't do any of that lost healing thing anymore with his Dynamo path, that can particularly put you in a situation where you can get hurt, and that could put you in a bad spot. Now, at the expense of running Dynamo at its full power, because I do think running these 3 is going to be like the most important, you could technically leave him out for a different sustain, because I do think Melania's biggest bonuses are just way more important than what Ezra provides. Ezra does provide you with some vulnerability stacking and some discernment, which gives you 40% crit damage. But if you're running into a situation where your team is dying because Ezra's shields aren't helping you enough, then you can run a different type of sustain. You can run Kipperina for additional crit rate. You can run Fatutu for just general sustain. You can run pretty much you can run whatever support you really want in this team. Remember, the key thing is you want to have at least 2 members, so that way you can get to a level 3 consistently, at least 2. But yeah, if you don't want to run Ezra and you don't want to invest into his path, then that's ultimately fine. Of course, we have Lucy, who's going to be operating as the main DPS this time. all of her now enhanced bonuses and stuff pretty much benefit from Ultimate Might, which of course Ulrich is going to be supporting you with a hefty chunk of alongside Monalia. So both of these are going to be giving you these respective bonuses, and that's going to be your key thing there that is going to be providing you with the extra damage that you'd want. But that's really just the core thing about it, is that it's pretty much the real true way that you want to play Dynamo, which is getting up to level 3, and then you're going to be getting Melania ults in between, and then that's when you start firing off its ultimates. Another really cool thing about running Monalia over like a traditional other support, if you wanted to run all three, is Monalia allows you to have Moxie overflow. This is actually very good if you're being a little bit more aggressive with Ulrich, because remember, he wants to do both his analysis skills a lot, and the reason why is because this is going to give him his various buffs, and that's going to give him the effects of the keys too. So what this does is that it allows him to get a fair amount of Moxie, right? But once he reaches level 3, he automatically gives himself 3 Moxie, which basically means that if you have him on Melania for the extra synergy, then he can actually put himself in a situation where he can double cast his ult, which is actually pretty good, because that means he can effectively give himself a double ult while the level 3 is active, which of course is just a lot more damage. Personally, I shouldn't say a little, I'm over downplaying it like a lot. Of course you have Lucy as well, as I mentioned before. That's going to really trigger her follow-ups very quick, because Ulrich's ult hits very hard, especially after all the buffs have been kicked in. The second cast can be as strong, because it depends on what happens with your keys. So yeah, but for what it's worth, it's pretty much the team that you'd want to run. You'd run this team, because if this is the main way of playing Dynamo, this is kind of the main way of playing Dynamo. But of course, once we get into like future stuff, or like get newer characters for Dynamo, I think Ezra's gonna be the first one to go, because he doesn't provide anything super fantastic for the team. He does funnel a bit of Dynamo, but not that much. He does again provide you with vulnerability and crit damage, but of course they're stack based, which is kind of cryage, like, to be honest. But the new unit that does come out, I think it's in patch 3.0 actually, provides with a lot more bonuses that validate kind of kicking him out. So yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, if you were to make any ideal replacements to the team, then that's why Ezra's kind of like the first one to go, is in my honest opinion. If you wanted to run like a different supporter or something, then that's completely fine on you. But yeah, that's going to be like the key team that you'd run for Dynamo. So there's that. Alright, so this is the next team, which is going to be the Ultimate team, which is with Ricoletta. Now, the reason why I recommend him, because you already know why. Like, this 70% Ultimate Might that he can provide from the brown noise, which is what you'd want from him anyway. Of course, we have Mel for, again, the 72% Ultimate Might, and then we have Fatutu for the healing and sustain. That's really just the whole core of what it is. The really cool thing about this, though, is running Ulrich and Mel together is such a really good synergy together, because I mean, yes, it's good because you're getting all the ultimate might off of the both of them, but the Moxie storage thing actually allows you to actually hit a level 3 Dynamo field. What I talked about before in the budget team is that it can be trickier to get to the level 3 Dynamo field, because he's going to be the sole one operating and he's not going to be able to ult as frequently. This one, with running Male as your support, you actually get more frequent ultimates, because you're going to be able to stockpile, and its ultimate comes with a really big boon for Dynamo, because it allows you to put up to 30 stacks of Dynamo into the field alongside the stack that you already would have put in by using its skill, so spectral analysis and all that stuff. So using his brown noise and the other skill would also funnel more stacks, and then you funnel more of passing turns. So this is a really good way to actually accelerate yourself to level 3 without having to run on a full Dynamo team. So this is what you would normally do. You would be a little bit more aggressive on these two, because you want to get them to max stacks, and then once you get Ricoletta up, then you're actually going to be good. One key thing I want to let you guys know, though, if you are casting his ult with his channeling effect from the ult, this does not give her ensemble. So the one that gives you the AoE bonuses, this one doesn't work off his channeling ult. So make sure that you are in between turns casting this skill to give you some ensemble narrative. because if you don't do that, then you won't have the full 20 stacks. You still get the 15. You still get the 20 off these two because they're going to be ulting quite consistently, especially with making it work with Melania's Passion Drain as well. So that's something that you can directly do to get the single target ones. But to get the AoE, if you're going against more than one enemy, then you would have to manually do it on her turns. You want to do this anyway because you want to get her to overflow Moxie anyway. You want her to get the 15 from Melania and her natural 10 Moxie that she has already anyway. So you're gonna be doing that in between your rotations anyway. Of course, Fatutu is a good way just to keep your team alive. Again, you can run anybody you really need. You can run Vila here because she does an absolutely fine job. You can run, you can even technically run Tooth, but I would just prefer running either Vila or her. Vila or her are probably just like your two main healers that you'd want to run that can provide crit damage and stuff like that. So, but yeah. He actually fits pretty well in the ult team. He actually can be considered as a helpful slot in the team because I don't think, well, technically, once we get Modir, which is in the bottom half of the patch, unfortunately, I don't think people will run Ulrich anymore because Modir becomes a de facto support for the Ultimate Team. So this is just more so something you can run him for now. But then once Modir comes, then if you are willing to pull her, because I know a lot of people are planning on skipping her, but if you are willing to pull Modir, then you run her with Ricoletta, and that's pretty much just how it goes from there because you traditionally want those teams for her. All right, so on to the next team.